Hello, my beautiful ladies. Hello, everyone. Today we'll be talking about conversations that bring you closer. A lot of clients come to my private sessions with questions about working on boundaries, on self-esteem, on finding that soulmate, that perfect person that you will not have any friction with. So basically, they want to manifest someone that they wouldn't have to have any kind of uncomfortable conversations, that there will be no fights, there will be no disagreements or no conflicts. What I want you to ask yourself is that, are you avoiding conflicts? Are you avoiding uncomfortable conversations, whether it is with your partner or with your maybe someone that you're dating? How do you find it easily? Is it easy for you to have conversations with people, or uncomfortable conversations, or are you avoiding it? So someone would say it's about boundaries, someone would say about self-esteem, but it's actually intimacy. It is very deep level of intimacy and trust when you can communicate to your partner about something that is bothering you in a relationship, and vice versa when he is or she is ready to communicate about what they are uncomfortable with in a relationship with you. So why do people want to avoid ever having uncomfortable conversations? Or a request from my clients, another request sounds like, can we just work on boundaries until no one is actually going to push my boundaries? So when people want that, when people are kind of avoiding or scared of these uncomfortable conversations or about setting boundaries, it usually means something deeper, some deeper trauma, some deeper beliefs, and some deeper fears. Usually it's fear of rejection, abandonment. It's something to do with worthiness, right? Because if I feel worthy enough to be heard, if I can speak my truth and I know that I will be accepted and I will not be rejected, then I will talk. So a lot of people, women actually, they will just tolerate. They will just go inwards. They will not speak up in a relationship. And they'll just be piling this energy within themselves until it becomes deeper and deeper resentment. So we don't want resentment. We know that resentment causes us a lot of illnesses. Resentment blocks your abundance. Resentment pushes the partners away, pushes your love away. So we don't want to build resentment. So in order to not build resentment, we do need to learn how to talk, how to communicate. So it is important to know that you need to be okay with uncomfortable situations from the beginning of your relationship, and also when you just start dating, because these uncomfortable situations, they will actually move your relationship forward. Bear with me. So we usually think fighting or arguing is bad, but it's actually not bad. Arguments and conflicts is something which brings, if it's done through love and with love, and both parties are communicating, and it is done in a specific, with specific rules that I will mention in a bit, they will move your relationship to the next level. And this is what we want. We want to grow our relationship. So we don't want to just be polite. We want the intimacy to grow. We want your relationship to become more and more vibrant, more and more deep, more and more connected. We don't want it to fall apart. We don't want it to become boring, right? So we want to grow with our soulmate. And it is important to have these uncomfortable arguments, conflicts. And you need to be, you need to understand that it is safe for you to share your feelings and emotions, right? But if it is not, if you feel like, no, my partner will not accept me, or he will not accept my emotional side or whatever you're afraid of. Just think of it now. We will come to it in our further in the further um, meeting. So let's talk about the levels of conflict, because there are obviously levels to it. So you can address the problem from the beginning when it is very raw, when the emotional um, level is still very low, right? When it's not a pain point, it's just a very mild trigger, then it's just going to be an uncomfortable conversation, which you can address, right? But then if you're piling these feelings, these emotions, if your partner keep on doing without even knowing that maybe it bothers you, you will just keep on piling that negative emotions and resentment. So we have just an uncomfortable conversation that can grow into an argument, and which can grow into conflict. And then when you are facing conflict, then you might have to have different, like several attempts into this conversation, right? So it is always better to access or address the problem early on, early on. So a lot of people say, oh, but if I am unhappy or if we are fighting, maybe it's not spiritual, maybe it's not, maybe that I'm a negative person. But we should understand that yes, we are a spiritual being living in this material world. We have to be okay with our material body. We have to be okay with our emotions, because our emotions is our body. And again, our soulmate, how perfect he or she may be to us, and how um, um, compatible you are, it does not mean that you will not have these problems or these conflicts. You are going through your life lessons or your soul lessons, or like you're acquiring virtues as a couple, but with minimal friction. Yeah, so with minimal friction. So it means that you are growing through your lessons as a couple easier than you would with your uncompatible soulmate. But there is still things to work on. There's still boundaries. There's still communication. It's another person. They will have another opinion, their own opinion. So you should be okay with speaking up. You should be okay with addressing uncomfortable subjects. So first of all, why it is so important, what I already said, that being honest about, and like being okay with being honest with your partner, builds that deep levels of emotional intimacy, which is very important for your relationship. So people are afraid of having conflict because they think this is breaking the relationships, but in fact, it's just moving and pushing your relationship to a whole new level. And you will realize that all aspects of your relationship, when you address that problem, that conflict, after that heat in the moment, it just like, it's like this beautiful step up in a relationship where you become closer. So there are specific rules which I invite you to address, to learn perhaps, and to use it in your problem solving with your partners. And first of all, the most important is avoid criticism at any cost. In any conversation, in any relationship, avoid criticism. Criticism is destructive. However, whoever may say it, it destroys personality. It's very destructive for a relationship. Avoid criticism. So those who don't know how the criticisms look like, it is when you say, you did this, you are that. For example, instead of saying, you are neglecting me, you can say that I feel alone and neglected when you are not listening to me, or when you are not hearing my requests, for example. So you communicate from the perspective of what I feel when you do this. And you can also actually add, because a person, most of the time, especially if they repeat what you don't like, what triggers you, they have no idea that they're hurting you. They have no slightest thought or intention unless they're doing it on purpose, right? But they have no intention of hurting you. Most probably they love you. They don't know that this specific thing is causing you so much pain or causing your negative emotions or making you angry, whatever emotions you're feeling. So it is important that you say, I know you don't intend to do this. I know that you didn't do this on purpose, but it makes me feel that way. I know most probably you never meant to hurt me, but it makes me feel that way. And you address your emotion. You say that you feel neglected, you feel hurt, you feel unseen, you feel unheard, and whatever the situation is. So avoid criticism at any cost. And second thing is go with love. Your intention to go into this conflict is not to kind of punish the person or tell them that they're wrong. It is not to win. It is not a battle. You should always go as an intention to go with love and an intention to bring your relationship to the next level. Because a lot of couples, a lot of time, a lot of women, they go into the relationship to prove that you are right. If you want to be proven right, that's ego talking. Okay. So try and go with love. You are very conscious if you're listening to this webinar, you are very self-aware already and spiritual. You know that nothing happens without a reason. If you have that trigger, it is your trigger. No one can push the buttons that you don't have, but you have that button. So it means that whatever the person is doing, first of all, it's your pain point, right? It's your button. So go with love. Don't try to prove yourself right, because then it is a battle energy. And this is something that you want to avoid in your relationship is battle. Competition, right? You want love, you want unity, you want intimacy, you want to be that one union with the person that you love in a relationship. So avoid proving them you're right and they're wrong, right? It's also a form of criticism, and go with love, an intention of love. I'm here communicating myself because because I know when I'm happy, you're happy, and our relationship is happy and moving forward. So explain what hurt your feelings, and address how you want it to be. So what do you want them to do, or what do you want them what is it that you want ideally? Yeah. Explain to them what you want instead of what you don't want. Because when we are repeating ourselves, like when we're talking about the problem, we're complaining, right? Complaining is also, we also have secondary gain to complaining, right? It's like a victim mode. So try to avoid being a victim, try to avoid complaining, and be very self-aware in how you explain the situation and what you want instead, right? Communicate your feelings and explain what is it that you want instead. So when you get into that situation and this argument or a conflict, person most probably will defend themselves because they don't know that what they've done. They don't know that they're wrong, right? So they'll be like, they will try to interrupt you. They will try to say, oh no, you got this wrong. Oh no, I didn't mean to. Oh no, I didn't. Or they might be defensive and they will tell you, and they might use criticism, which is also okay. Not everybody is so self-aware, right? But again, by doing this regularly with your partner, you also kind of teach them to communicate by example, the way you're communicating. So eventually they will start listening to you, right? So don't fire them from the relationship immediately if they're not super self-aware like you are. And have their own way of growing spiritually. So more probably they did it on purpose, and they will try to interrupt you. They will try to defend themselves, and you can let them talk. Like, try to allow your ego to let them talk, right? Because when you do let them talk, and then it's your turn, you can say, look, I've listened to what you had to say. Please listen to me now. So you always lead from example, from yourself. I've listened to you. Please let me speak. It's important that you hear me. It's important to me that you hear me. Okay, so um, listen. Always listen to the other person, because there's always a perspective. Again, when we're going from the ego and the necessity to prove you being right, it is also not healthy for your couple, not healthy for your conflict, right? Because eventually you'll be like, you will attract a man, or you will just show a man that it's better to shut up. She's not listening. She just wants to be right. I will let her be right, and I will do my own thing. So that's not what you're looking for. What you're looking for is intimacy rather than a separation, because I'm right creates this competition, and it creates separation. So um, you don't want to create that in your relationship. You want the unity, the partnership. Okay. So of course, prior to the conversation, you can do a little digging on yourself, a little healing on yourself, and address your emotions of, why do I feel this anger? Why do I feel not heard? Why do I feel neglected? And what's happening, right? You can dig yourself a little bit before uh, before you go to this conversation. So that applies to those who know or who has the resourcefulness to speak up. Do you have the resourcefulness to speak up with your partner? Because a lot of women, whether it is a partner, whether it is a date, can you openly talk to them about what's bothering you? Can you have those uncomfortable conversations? So when we're talking about dating, these uncomfortable conversations must happen early on, when you're communicating how how that person has to treat you. How do you need to be treated? You're communicating your standards, you're communicating what kind of woman you are. So he finds that approach to you, because if the person goes with love and he likes you, he will definitely want you to like him back. He would want you to accept him, right? So when you're communicating in that way, when you are being honest, and when you're having those uncomfortable conversations, when you say, you know what, this doesn't work for me, I prefer this, for example, right? Then you're helping them to be attracted to them. You're helping them. How do you like to be treated in order for the relationship to work, right? So it is important that you take that skill, if you will, skill of having uncomfortable conversations into your relationship, because on every level you will need to have that skill. You will need to apply it. So again, this applies to women who can speak up, who have the resourcefulness, maybe a little confidence, or maybe a little bit more than a little. But some women are literally unable to speak up. So if you are one of them, when you feel that it is impossible to speak up in a relationship, when you are afraid to be abandoned, to be rejected, to be left, to be like, okay, if I'm going to speak up, he's going to divorce me. If I'm going to speak up, he's going to leave me. It's better that I just, shut up and pile all that resentment, and tolerate, and keep it to myself, right? This doesn't help the relationship, and doesn't help you, because a lot of women, they will create a lot of illnesses when those emotions are piling up, or it will just turn into a huge fight where people would rather leave rather than speak up. So I see this a lot. So women have this idea that men should know. Don't you know, like, it's common sense. You shouldn't treat me like that. But again, no one can push the buttons that you don't have. So men don't know how to treat you if you don't tell them, right? So a lot of women give up on something that could be an amazing relationship because they're just leaving the relationship because they're unable to speak up. Okay. So, or they're staying in a relationship and just tolerating a relationship or tolerating a behavior that they don't want or they don't like. So that might feel that, okay, you need to speak up, but then your body goes weak. You have like this adrenaline in your body, which is um, so we have when we're afraid and when it's a survival mode, we have either fight, flight, or freeze effect, right? Response. So if a person has a freeze response, um, it usually also reflects in relationships. So if you feel like I need to speak up, I need to resolve this, I need to have this conflict resolved, I cannot keep on tolerating that behavior, for instance, it hurts me, it pushes those triggers. You need to speak up, and you have that fear in your body, literally. You're sweating before the conversations. You can't like speak a word. You forget all the words that you wanted to say, right? That's usually to do with another thing which is very important to work on. It might be your fear of rejection, it might be your fear of abandonment, it's worthiness issues, it is something that been caused by a trauma, and then it needs to be addressed and worked on a deeper level. So if you can speak up, it's great. Practice it. Always make attempts and try, right? It's not doesn't have to be elegant, it just has to be raw. Again, you don't go there to win. Don't go there to win. Go there with this vulnerability, honest, sincere, authentic self, where you can be yourself, where you can be imperfect you, where you can have this conversation in a very awkward way, perhaps allow it to be that way, right? But then if a person loves you, they will hear you and they will not want to do something that hurts you, right? If the person who cares for you, right? So then you're just showing them, how can you love me better? How can we have that more connection together, right? So this is very important. If you're unable to speak, if you have zero resourcefulness to speak up with the person that you love, then we have to work on these three that I mentioned. Your fear of rejection and abandonment, basically it's the same, and your worthiness issues. So I'm not worthy enough to be heard. I'm not worthy enough to be loved the way I want to be loved, right? So in this case, you're welcome. We can have a conversation and we can work through this together in private sessions, or you can always come to my data healing classes and learn how to address these feelings on your own, learn this technique in order to help you solve anything in your life. So if this has been helpful, please share it with your friends. And if you have any questions, I'm here for you. I can answer your questions now. So it's fight, flight, and freeze. So when you're afraid, right, your adrenaline pushes the blood to your limbs, hands and feet, right? Hands and legs, so that you can fight. You can run, because some things you cannot fight, right? Some animals you can't fight, so you have to run or freeze. Anyways, we can explore this subject. There's a lot of things I can say about this, but it's another meeting. In another meeting, we can talk about stress and light response. So anyway, my dear ladies, it's been a great pleasure to spend the evening with you today. I hope you learned something new and it was useful to you. I will see you in our next sessions. I wish you a good night. Love you, love you.